Thanks for downloading a 3CR podcast. 3CR is an independent community radio station based in Melbourne, Australia. We need your financial support to keep going. Go to www.3cr.org.au for more information and to donate online. Now stay tuned for your 3CR podcast.
Sabah al-Khair, good morning dear listeners. You're listening to Radio 3CR on 855 AM and Palestine Remembered with Robert Martin, Nasser Mashni and Yusuf Ahmed al-Rimawi.
Palestine Remembered is Australia's only English-language radio program that is totally dedicated to Palestine. We'd like to welcome those listening on 855 and those that will join us on podcast at 3cr.org.au.
Thanks for joining us. Stay with us and enjoy the episode.
Good morning, Nasser.
Morning, Yusuf. How you doing?
Before we start with our edition this week, I want to remind our listeners to go to our website, PIEN.org.au, to see our important events coming up this month.
For Palvember?
And what do we have this episode, Nasser?
Well, we'll be speaking to Areej Masoud from Bethlehem, and who's been brought here by
Visiting
PIEN.
us, yes.
Visiting us. We'll be talking about Palestinian women and breast screening challenges they're facing in Lebanon, and also, very importantly, the normalisation of Arab states with the State of Israel.
Nasser, tell us about Areej.
Areej Masoud is a Palestinian Christian from Bethlehem who currently works at the Development and Communications Department, coordinator at Bethlehem Bible College. She's here to talk about all things Palestine. This is Robert's interview with Areej.
Hello, this is Robert Martin, and I'm with a magnificent Palestinian from Bethlehem, Areej. Welcome, and thank you for joining us at 3CR. Now, one of the biggest things we hear on the media is that Palestine is about religion and it's about Islam. Now, I know what is it like for life as a Palestinian Christian?
You're raising a very good point, because the occupation has been trying to make it a religious problem when it's not. It's not religious. It's not a problem between...
These kids are fantastic.
Yeah.
No, we'll keep talking. Kids are having fun.
Keep talking?
Yeah.
It's not about Christians cannot live with Muslims, or Muslims cannot live with Jews, or vice versa. We are able to live with each other just fine. And we've proved that through the history, but not when the occupation started, when it started using religions as part of spreading a stereotype of how we can't live with each other. So as a Palestinian Christian, even though we are a minority in the land, and the reason we are a minority, not because we left the country because we can't live with the Muslims, but because of the occupation, because of the injustices that are there. We are dehumanized, we do not get our rights, lots of businesses have been locked up. The occupation has had an effect on us economically, physically, psychologically. It's just day-to-day life, it has affected us. So we've left the country. We used to be more than 30%, now we're less than 0.9% Christians.
That's for Christians?
That's for Christian in Palestine.
Because I hear a lot of things, which is obviously fabricated, that the Christians are leaving because of the Palestinian Arabs. Now, I've heard this said a number of times. So it's because of the occupation, it's because Israel's making life too difficult.
Yes, exactly. And Palestinian Christians are Arabs as well, you know. So we are integrated in the culture. We are raised in the same culture, raised up in the same culture. We have the same ideas. We have the same beliefs. Kind of, not religious.
No,
but traditional beliefs, you know. And it's like growing up in a culture where we daily have an interfaith dialogue, not on purpose, but it happens. Yeah.
What's your first memory of living under occupation? So obviously you're born in Bethlehem, is that right?
Yes.
What's your first memories?
So I was born in Bethlehem, but then when I was a few months old, my parents moved out and lived in Qatar, and then went back to Palestine when I was 7 years old. And even though they were first years of my childhood, but yet I was able very easily to notice the difference. I wasn't able to relate it to occupation and say that's because of the occupation, but I would always wonder, why am I having such limitations over my life when I didn't used to have them when we were living in a different place? We were able to beach every day. Well, I know it's there. I've seen it from the plane. I know it's very close by.
How far is it?
It's like an hour away driving.
And you can't go?
No.
Yeah.
I can't go. Or we can't have parks and sceneries and green. And I'm a nature person. I love to see that. But we're not able to have that. We don't have enough water. We only get 20% of the water. That means you have to choose whether to drink water or like to plant a tree. So for me, even growing up in Palestine, I had a mountain full of trees as my view. And for me, I was so tied to that view. And I thought, like, one day I'll go hike there when I'm grown up enough, the fantasy of a child. But little did I know that was Area C. And I'm not allowed to go there anyways, even though it is in Palestinian land.
So just for our listeners that don't know, Area C is?
So Area C is Palestinian land, but when Israel has divided the West Bank into 3 areas, Area A, Area B, Area C. Area A is under the Palestinian Authority, Area B is under the... it's a mix, but it's under the Israeli Authority. But Area C is under Israeli control only. We have no control over it.
Can you go there?
No.
You can't even go there?
No.
Okay.
Some places, but it could be a risk. Like, you could be interrogated by a soldier. They can... so sometimes I would go hike there, but then, you never know how safe it is. It's not structured for people to go there. And so many Area Cs has been turned into settlements. And so it's impossible for me to go there. It's not even a choice. And the same case happened with that mountain. Like, the trees were cut off, and a building after building started being constructed. And I was so upset. Like, why did they take that mountain away from me? And that was the first signs I start to realize that this is an occupation, and I was able to put a name to it. It is occupation. Wow. My dreams are being taken away from me. And till today, even when that happened, it was like in 2003. But still, like, till today, it hurts me to remember that.
Because so the Israelis control every facet of your life, basically.
Yes.
And I know that you say that Area A and B are controlled by Israel or the PA. Is in fact the reality that if Israel want to come through, the PA have to move away?
Yeah.
So everything is completely under Israeli control.
Yeah. I would say that the Palestinian Authority are just doing administrative work for Israel. We don't have our own authority over our own land, our own people, our own decisions. There's always an effect, or the last word would go to Israel. They would decide what's going to happen. As you mentioned, like, they can come in, even into Area A, like Palestinian Authority land, and no one can talk to them. No one can tell them why or where you're going, what's happening, what's the reasons. Like, they're doing what they need to do, or they want to.
Because I did some olive picking around Bethlehem, and I saw the soldiers everywhere. And I also went to Ada refugee camp, which I'm sure you've been to.
Yes.
And they do the raids. Have you do these raids? Have you been intimidated by the soldiers? Have they dehumanised you on a reasonably regular basis because you're Palestinian?
Well, to connect that question with the questions of how we live with each other, Christians and Muslims, they use techniques to separate between us as Christians and Muslims in a dehumanizing way. Especially for me as a Christian, when, for example, I would go to cross the checkpoint, which is a humiliating thing to do, because I would need to get a permit, and a permit I need to go to an Israeli military base to request an entrance to my own land.
And that's got to be completely dehumanising.
Yes.
And humiliating.
Yeah. When one of the people who were waiting in line trying to get the permit to pass. Permit is not like a visa that has certain criteria, very clear criteria why you get it, why you don't. When he received his permit, he looked at it and he read it to me. I said, could that be true? My permit starts in 2070, year 2070, not 17, 70.
So a new permit, and it says you can go there in 2070.
Exactly.
And that's not a mistake either. They're doing this
no, on purpose. And we weren't sure, is that funny, or is that, like, how do you react to this? Maybe it's funny to them, but it was very insulting.
But that's an official document as well.
Yes.
So they've said that in 2070, maybe you'll go over there.
Yeah. Exactly.
I've never heard of this. I mean, it's just another way to
Or,
say we're controlling.
And another one got it in 2020, so that's like a couple of years ago. So that's like, and it's
disgraceful.
Exactly. So you usually don't get the permit, but let's say us Christians would get more possibility in getting a permit than our Muslims neighbors.
Okay, so you're a little bit higher on the pecking order of Palestinians.
Exactly. But I mean, we're privileged. So people's like, yeah, so they treat you Christians better than Muslims. Like, no, we're still under occupation, and we can't say that until occupation ends. We don't get many of our rights as everyone else, as all Muslims do. It's not because they treat us better that means we're privileged. But it actually discriminates between us.
Is that a way also to get you guys fighting against each
Yes.
other? So it is a part of dividing.
Yeah, and I can tell you a few stories how you can feel that it's already having an effect. That so I would get more permits than my Muslim friend would, and she's always lucky you. I was like, I'm not lucky. We should be able to go. You should. In her Adha, when it's Muslim celebration day, she couldn't go and pray in the mosque in Jerusalem. But I would be able to get the permit during Easter. But then I would reach Jerusalem, I won't be able to get into the Holy Sepulchre.
So they'll stop you from going at that point anyway.
So there's soldiers stopping people from going in, but it's easier for foreigners to go into that church than me. I've never celebrated Easter in Jerusalem my whole life. So
and that's only a 30-minute drive.
Exactly.
I mean, it's pretty close.
It's less. It's less. It's about 15. Yeah. So it just. I always tell her, no, that doesn't mean I'm lucky. You see it that way, but I'm not privileged. Or we'd go to the checkpoint, and then I'm passing, and they can't control how many times the metal detector is beeping, and who can they let pass faster, or like give them hard time, and they would still go beep under the metal detector. They would see me as a Christian. They can tell I'm not wearing a hijab. I dress differently. They would. I would pass once and beep, and then the second time I would pass, not change anything, and then suddenly I'm not beeping anymore. They can stop it.
Wow,
but then,
so like there must be a button there or something.
Yeah, exactly, there is. And then a Muslim girl wearing a hijab, she's beeping, but then they keep asking her to go back again and again and again. To the point, like, she's taken her bobby pins off. Like, there's nothing left, on her hijab. It's like, there's nothing left. And they asked her to take her hijab off. I felt insulted. Like, no, you can't do that. I looked at her and I told her, she's with me. And they're like, okay, if she's with you, she can pass.
So that makes a difference. So they're seriously trying to divide you guys as well. I mean,
exactly. So she passes, but then, okay, I might have helped her through, but then how would that make this look like? Like, I have a say and she doesn't, or like I'm respected. And that's I'm not. It's not that I always have special treatment. It's not the case. But it's when it can cause an effect of separation. It is. Or when I used to work in Jerusalem for 3 months, would be standing in line, waiting the rush hour, and there's a lot of people, hundreds of people trying to cross. When soldiers decide to take their break in rush hours, for like no need, but they decide to do that. And then a soldier would come and he would start searching for Christians and said, like, you can pass.
It's a complete power trip for these soldiers to dehumanize the Palestinians.
Exactly. I refused to do that so many times. I was like, no. I either stay in line, but then I feel like if I stay in line and it's going to reach my point, they're going to give me a really hard time because of my decision not to obey. So I left. I would leave. And for so many, like during my 3 months of work, I missed work over 2 weeks.
So out of 3 months, you were forced to miss 2 weeks worth of work?
Yes. And
because they wouldn't allow you in?
It's a couple of times they've asked me to come forward and to pass and leave the rest of the people waiting, and I refuse to look privileged when I'm not. So I would go back and leave the checkpoint and go back home. Other times it's because of the lines. It's crazy lines, and them taking their breaks when there's so many checkpoints that they can open to make it easier. Yet they decide to go slower, take their breaks, not open all stands to make people go to their jobs faster.
Can you see the look on their faces when they're doing it? Like, I'm now going to close it off now. You just have to deal with this. We're in charge. You're not.
It's very difficult. There's no interaction. So the checkpoint is not like going through a security like airports where you can see the soldiers or see the security guards. They're mostly behind glass and stained glass. It's easier for them to see us, which barely. They look at us, but then it's harder for us to see them. At some point, you do see them a bit, and they don't care. They don't care.
You said they don't care, or they actually care to make things really bad. So it's more of it's nonchalant, but we want to make your life difficult. Do you think that's what it is?
It's hard to say that every Israeli soldier does think that way.
Of course.
You know, some have been tried to help, but some would have made life harder. Like one time, my friend and I were crossing the checkpoint, and the soldier, she was. It's like we're showing her the permit, and she's like, "I want your magnet card." Magnet cards are biometric cards where they have our fingerprints, eye prints, and our pictures and information.
So it's everything about you on this one card.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so for certain years, they started asking like everyone who wants a permit have to have that card. So you have to pay for it, and it's very insulting. Like paying for your own, every 2 years you have to pay to get that permit, to get that magnet card, so they can have your information. It's like you don't want them to have your information, yet you need an access to your own land. There's no freedom of movement. You get suffocated. We live in an open-air prison. So my friend and I do have those magnet cards, but for our experience passing through the checkpoint, they don't ask to see it because it appears on their system. They just need to see the permit. Yeah. So when we were crossing, it's like, I need to see your magnet card. I'm like, we don't have it. Like I had it, my friend didn't. It's like both of you would not pass if you don't have it. So
you really stick together.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That's beautiful.
And we convinced her, like, we always pass, it's fine. So she's upset and starts screaming and it's like, no, you're not going to pass without your magnet card. Like, I can't accept that. Another soldier comes in with his gun and he's, what's happening? She's screaming and letting him, what's happening? And we're trying to convince him to pass. And then he starts screaming and everyone is upset until at some point, I wanted to scream as well. Like I was, yeah. But at some point I decided to love my enemy in this situation. How can I love my enemy in this, what's happening now? And it's mostly difficult. So only when I took a breath and I was able to notice that the soldier had a tattoo on his arm. A tattoo that says, love humanity, respect.
Stop it. Stop it. This is an occupation soldier saying love humanity.
Exactly.
Wow.
And I couldn't just...
You've got to mention that one.
I looked at him with a smile and I told him, you have a nice tattoo. And he stopped screaming. And he goes, okay, only today you can pass.
Just like that.
So, because there's no reason not to let us pass. But even if it's a small thing that happened, but it is a big deal because Israeli soldiers do not change their minds. They can never show certain. Even if they're mistaken, no is a no and a yes is a yes.
Wow. So they just have to have that. Yeah. They can't change their mind.
Exactly. So for him to change his mind, I know it's a big deal. And that's how I put love my enemy into action in a way like how can I tackle the humanity in my enemy because he's still human? To challenge him and let him know that what you're doing is wrong. Because the occupation dehumanizes people and would not let you see them as people.
So look, I'll let you go because I know you've had a mad trip. And can we talk about who's brought you over, which is the Ecumenical... I can never get this word right. Because I know that they've driven you really hard. Yeah. People should look at what their work they've done because I know they do fantastic work.
They're doing a great job. It's PIEN, Palestine Israel Ecumenical Network.
There you go. So it just rolls off your tongue beautifully.
Yeah.
English is my first language. Fantastic.
Yeah, so they were looking for a Palestinian voice to actually speak up on behalf of my people. And they found me. And that's how I'm here, because of their support.
And so people should look them up as well and get involved.
Yes,
as well.
Definitely,
wow.
Definitely. You'll find they have good resources also of so many that do.
See you again, and we will see you hopefully in this country, or I'll see you in Bethlehem at some stage.
Yeah, see you.
Bye.
Looking forward.
You're listening to Palestine Remembered on 855 AM, and that was Robert Martin speaking with our guest, Areej Masoud. That was a good interview, Nasser.
It was a great interview and a great resource, a real credit to to Palestinian women. She did a fabulous job.
Nasser, speaking of Palestinian women, the Ministry of Health in Lebanon launched a campaign after receiving a donation from the European Union to encourage women in Lebanon to do early screening.
Early breast screening, that's
breast
right.
screening for breast cancer. And as you would expect, Palestinian women who heard that campaign advertisements on television and radio went to the hospitals, and they got declined because they were told that this is for Lebanese only.
Yeah.
Even though that the Palestinian women in Lebanon have this, we're talking about second and third generation mothers.
Well, they've been there for 71 years, Yusuf, as we know.
All of them, I would say all of them, I mean, or more than 90% of them were born there, unless they are more than 70 years old. Luckily, and to the credit of the great civil society in Lebanon, some Lebanese activists did not accept this injustice. They took to social media, and I want to mention some names, Badia Hani Fahs, who is the daughter of the great thinker Hani Fahs, and also Nawal Mdallali, famous activist in Lebanon, went to social media and said, we are not going to accept that. And they started a campaign where they started receiving phone calls and emails and messages from nurses and doctors opening their clinics for Palestinian women. So while we do see and hear bad things coming out from the official institution in Lebanon when it comes to the treatment of Palestinians, the civil society is still alive and sound. And a campaign started yesterday on the 2nd of November to allow Palestinian women, a parallel campaign to the government campaign. And what's interesting is that the money received from the European Union was enough to include all women in Lebanon.
Wow.
But nevertheless, again, the Palestinian women were accepted.
Fantastic. All we need them to do now is run a campaign to allow for equal job opportunities for Palestinians and not for...
Maybe one day we'll see that. I'm not very optimistic, but definitely let's hope.
Well, we should remind our listeners just how many occupations that Palestinians aren't allowed to apply for. So Palestinian refugees...
More than 70 jobs.
Yeah, more than 70. Can't be doctors. They can't be members of the police force.
Teachers, engineers.
Yeah.
They can only work within the territories of
So many Palestinian doctors in Lebanon work as nurses. Because they can't practice as doctors.
And recently, not anymore, even nurses became part of the list.
Oh, wow.
So we'll revisit this important topic later. But maybe if time allows also, I want to talk about the treatment of refugees who ended up in Thailand. But we do have a very bad news coming out from the eastern part of the Arab world, Nasser.
Well, it's a very, very important part. And it's so important to talk about because it's the ultimate betrayal of one brother to another brother. It's allowing into your home someone who has stolen from your family. And we've always talked about the Arab Brotherhood and the Arab Street and the concept of a shared destiny and a shared struggle in the liberation of all Palestinians. Which is very strong
among popular levels.
Well, Yusuf, you know what? I'm almost 50 years of age, and I remember all my life hearing about the Arab Street. You know, one of the greatest victories that colonialism and by installing the kingdoms in the breakup of what was Arabia into all the statelets post World War I and solidified into World War II, was to create such a ruling class as to oppress the street. And we had great hopes when
the Arab Spring broke out.
But in this past week, we saw Benjamin Netanyahu visit Oman. And I mean, this is, really...
Without any introduction, all of a sudden, we just saw pictures.
Suddenly.
And just to mention that the Sultan of Oman didn't make public appearance for more than, I would say 4 years I haven't seen him, and he didn't participate in the GCC summits for more than 12 years.
He's a very old guy.
He did not participate in the Arab summits for more than 15 years, and now he is welcoming Netanyahu as a guest of honor in Muscat.
Yeah. So Sultan Qaboos, he met with Netanyahu, the blood still dripping from his hands, killed another half a dozen kids on the Friday in the return march, and here he is, being welcomed into an Arab capital, like a visiting dignitary. And
in parallel with that, we've seen the Israeli Minister for Culture, Miri Regev,
that's right,
joining the judo sport team to one of the international events and celebrating the victory.
She was in the Emirates, and she was there for a judo competition. The Israelis won 2 gold medals, so they had their national anthem played twice and their flag raised twice. She entered the great mosque there, and
Sheikh Zayed Mosque.
Yeah, and she was very, very proud in saying that she wrote in Hebrew in the visitors' book to really, remind us that she was there. And look, this is the same woman who, remember, it must be just over 2 years ago, Yusuf, when there was a call to ban the Adhan in Jerusalem. She called it the call to prayer. She called that the crying dogs of Muhammad, of the Prophet.
Blatant racism and blatant intolerance.
A couple of years ago, she was at the footy. She was surrounded at the soccer, and she was surrounded by Israeli fans, and this football club, Betar, is notoriously
it's known for
racist.
Its really racist chantings.
She was surrounded by them, and she's well aware of the history of this football club,
Betar Jerusalem.
And she was there, and they were the camera panned to her, and she was smiling because that team had won, and the guys were jumping up and down around her, and they were shouting out, genocidal
to
chants.
the Arabs and
the
Palestinians.
May your village be burned, and this is, she's called the African refugees that in Israel. She's called them a cancer, and then she said she apologized to cancer victims for comparing them to Africans.
She did not make an apology.
She didn't say sorry to the Africans for calling them cancer. She apologized to cancer victims for equating them to blacks, to black people.
So the same woman is welcomed like a guest of honor in Abu Dhabi, and while she was shedding the tears of joy, listening to her national anthem being played, Palestinian mothers were shedding the tears of sadness for having their children killed. It was on the same day, and in an ironic moment that we will remind ourselves and our Arab brothers forever. And in parallel with that, Qatar received another Israeli sport team, I think it's in the gymnasium, on the same day, and participated with their flag. Some of the players were ex or maybe current IDF soldiers, and receiving open gate treatment, and just like any other team from any other country, any other continent.
Here's the quote from Miri Regev when she was at the Grand Mosque. And listen to what she wrote. She said, whilst dressed in Islamic clothing, she was wearing, she was dressed modestly. I am glad that I have had the privilege to be the first senior Israeli figure to sign the guest book at the mosque. I chose to do so in Hebrew to send a message of brotherhood. This is a pin in somebody's eye. There's no message of brotherhood while you're slaughtering and oppressing our brothers. Writing in Hebrew, we'd love for you to come as a Jew who worships a God that we share and a book that we honor and respect. As a Jew, you're absolutely welcome. But as a racist Israeli that is oppressing and killing indigenous peoples, we do not welcome you.
And also, not just as an Israeli, as one of the cabinets. One of the worst cabinets that Israel has seen since its inceptions. Have we ever had a worse cabinet, a more right-wing cabinet than we do have now? I don't think so.
Never before.
So
this is as right wing as look, the reality and history will be able to determine just how influential the likes of Haim Saban, Benjamin Netanyahu and the other Christian Zionists, as well as Zionists, the sort of power they had and the influence they had in getting Donald Trump elected. But also the dog whistle politics, that xenophobia that's really sweeping the world now. And you have a look at, the elections just recently in Brazil, in Italy. In Hungary. We're really moving towards fascist right-wing governments, around the world.
We will definitely come back to this important topic of normalization with more discussion and more analysis in future episodes, but I think time does not allow, and we promise to fully cover the plight of Palestinians in Thailand also next week. This is what we have time for this episode. Thank you for being with us, and thank you, Nasser.
Thanks, Yusuf.
And until we meet the next week, this is Robert, Nasser, and Yusuf wishing you the best of time, and salam.